sigurë dhe do të bëjmë gjithmonë, derisa ta gjejmë secilin person.
Kemi me marrë edhe diçka tjetër këtë muj?
Kena probleme serioze me parën organizat.
Neve nuk na vynë ndihmat, as fundet. Neve na vynë puna. A nuk peshet që asnjëna nuk jena mira? Kam të dashtë me nisë një punë me kred gratë Krushës. Me marru Ajvar për me shqip.
Na Ajvar kena marru të njëtën. Që të punë di me kry mas mire.
Po thojnë, ti shkon agimi gjallë, marre i kishar për teje.
Çka do që të bësh? E ro këtë familjen. Nëse si t'ju bëhe slap djallin tem, unë hala jam gjallë.
Njerëzit ngajnë, iken, sidomos kur tutën. Që shmuj me ditë që dhe ato e kanë gjujt. Qka nëse ka iknohen?
Vetë nuk mund është mi kry këto.
A ke lyp me një mua ju?
Qysh po shkon, gra?
Mirë. Ja bajmë na diqysh. Veç ti na kallzona më është me shit, tjerat krejt na i kryjnë.
Për mërat, lumë shindur.
Spevojmë për ty, për vete, për krejt neve.
Hive, Hive, a movie. Yes. Oh. Eric's gonna throw out a Nathan. You're gonna drop some Nathan Day on this. This is where I will have to refuse you on Hive, Kosovo set drama centering on this woman named Fahrije, and it's a true story. And Fahrije is a woman. She's missing. Her husband's been missing since the war in Kosovo, so she is distraught. She's wondering what's happening. Maybe he's presumed dead, but she probably doesn't want to let go of that. Her father-in-law is in a wheelchair. He can't really help her much with the duties, along with trying to, in her small town, she's trying to make as much money for the women in her town so she can help other people, but she can also, it's very hard to help herself and take care of her two kids, take care of her father-in-law. She's also a beekeeper. She has several hives in her backyard. She sells honey. Really, this movie is a naturalistic take on a woman's life, on trying to make ends meet in Kosovo while dealing with tragedy. It's written and directed by Blerta Basholli, and the lead actress, I'm butchering this name, Yllka Gashi. Revelation to me. I'll be honest with you. I was immersed in this movie. This is, again, might be an acquired taste, but this film in Sundance, it won 3 awards in Sundance. What did it win for? Director, narrative, and I'll look up for the other awards. I want to start with you, Bruce, first. What did you overall think of this movie?
I really liked it. I think this is a solid indie movie. But like you said, for people who don't like these really, I guess you'd say, quote, small, focused, very kind of realistic kind of views of kind of slices of life, it might be too dry for them or not enough going on. But for me, it worked really, really well. A couple of things I wanted to mention. First of all, I totally agree. Yllka Gashi, I'll say it badly too. Who knows? Was amazing. And she really is the core of this movie, right? We're following her and with her like 99% of the movie. Hive, I probably wouldn't have called it Hive. I know why they did. I would have probably called it, what was it? Avjar or whatever that
Avjar, which is a roasted red pepper sauce, which the women band together to make. And right. She's trying to make it. She's the leader in trying to make the sauce, right?
Right. So, I mean, and that's okay. This is kind of interesting. I would have never thought of this until Eric just talked about the last movie. This kind of does, as a movie, kind of what he was talking about just a moment ago with Julia Child and what he thought would have been better. And this does really take a moment in this woman's life and let that kind of stand for what's going on. And one thing you didn't kind of mention, wonder her husband is dead or not. This starts with it seems like fairly regular delivery of remains. It starts with these remains are getting, I guess, unburied or brought out. And then literally she's going through and looking through the body bags, trying to see if she can find her husband. And that's hanging over this entire story, is that they assume he's dead. Most of the women in this village or this town assume that their husbands are dead or their sons are dead, but until they get the notice, they don't know. The basic setup of this is that they're in this point where they have to either decide to just wait and kind of languish, or whether they have to try to figure out how to move on. And on top of that, they are faced with the expectations of what women in the society are allowed to do and what they are supposed to do. And I thought those two basic tensions in this movie were really good. I really liked it. I thought it was a really strong movie.
I love this film. And yeah, the town is misogynistic. The men are horrific in this. They're just very, very old school, just cavemen. And it's how these women try to deal. How are you going to move on? If you actually you try to live within the means of society and your husband or soulmate is missing, how are you going to make money? The only way they can make money is from selling these bottles of, what is it? Avjar, and just persevering. Eric, what did you think of Hive?
Overall, I liked it. I wish they would have went a little harder on how shitty women are treated in that area, because they definitely touched on it on more than one occasion, but I didn't think it really I thought it could have went a little harder. There was a scene where the guy asked her out, oh, it's just for coffee. She says no, and later on he says, oh, it's just for coffee. And then he starts, getting a little too handsy with her. The fact that they're looked down on for wanting to drive is pretty ridiculous. But I thought they could have went a little. I was thinking of like the movie Yentl with Barbara Streisand and Mandy Patinkin. The whole movie's about, her. A woman can't read and she wants to learn how to read, and that's kind of the thrust of it. And it really sold that idea. It leaned into it and sold that idea, because it's stupid that women are treated like this. In the case of Yentl, they were treated like this back in the day. In the case of this, women are treated like this in this part of the world, at least, probably more places as well. I just wish they would have leaned in a little harder on it to really sell that. Most people might say it's a bit on the nose, but I mean, if it's still happening today, it's clearly a lesson people aren't getting. So might as well be completely blunt about it. That said, I love the characters, love the acting, following the characters and the family. They're really charming. I love being with them. Unlike the Julia movie, I loved watching them make the pepper sauce or whatever it was that they were making. I was like, I just want to be with them. And
I wanted to try it. I wanted to try that red pepper sauce.
Oh yeah, me too.
It seems pretty tasty. And what do you just eat it by itself? Do you have it with bread? They should, they should have combined the Julie Child documentary and just show how they actually cook it. What do they use it for? I'm all about that.
There's a scene that most people know in Pulp Fiction where Samuel L. Jackson eats a burger. That's a tasty burger. And I'm watching that going, that does look like a tasty burger. And then they in this one, Hive, they're at the grocery store trying to sell space for their Avjar or whatever.
Yeah.
And he takes a little spoonful of the thing and eats it. I'm like, oh God, that looks so good. I
need to try it.
But yeah, this movie has a bunch of high parts. The ending was really good. I just wish they would have just leaned in a little harder on some of this stuff and made it really, really, stand out and, really damage people emotionally. I don't think this will do that, but I think it should.
Cool. Good. Yeah. This movie, again, 3 awards in Sundance Film Festival. It's the first that I think a film has won all 3 major ones. This, though, is in the World Cinema category. It won the World Cinema Award at the Sundance Film Festival for dramatic. It won the Audience Award, it won the Directing Award, and it won the Grand Jury Prize. So this is a highly acclaimed movie. This is one of these movies that will continue to gain steam. It was released again last week in New York, and Friday comes out as well. This is sort of a gradual, staggered release. But again, the writer-director is Blerta Basholli. Eric, to your point about hammering it home, I don't know, Bruce, what you think about this? Maybe Blerta's aesthetic is very subtle. And so even the emotional moments, I don't want to give too much away. She actually puts it in a very subtle frame. Do you think that she should have hit the stuff a little bit harder as well, Bruce, from your end?
I like it the way it is. I think that Eric's version would also be good. I think this version makes more sense to me because I feel like you're kind of doing it in a sense from the point of view of our main character. Although she hates these things happening to her, she seems to be very much more of like, okay, this is an obstacle. How do I surmount this obstacle? Here's another obstacle. How am I going to get past this obstacle? She's almost matter of fact.
She internalizes.
And in some ways that almost makes it to me, it almost hurt me a little more when things happened, because she was just trying to do the basic stuff and almost giving people the benefit of the doubt until she couldn't give them the benefit of the doubt, which was almost dangerous to her a few times. And also to me, it gave a great contrast when someone wasn't like that to her. And I'm mostly thinking of the guy at the supermarket. I kept waiting for that shoe to drop too, and it really didn't. And I was like, not that spoiling anything. This isn't really a kind of spoiler kind of
That's
movie,
not a spoilery thing, yeah.
The fact that he was like a counterpoint, like, well, there is somebody out there that seems to be a decent person who's dealing with them in a very straightforward way, and he doesn't seem to have any ulterior motives. And I appreciated that a ton.
But yeah, you know, I get what you're saying, Eric, too. There's a lot about this movie that's very frustrating to watch when you just see how the men in the town just react to so many things, and especially with a shroud of just tragedy all around this town. And you see these women trying, you know, they can't remarry because in custom they're supposed to stay with their husband even if they're dead, and that's part of their culture in that small town. It's just a very immersive movie. Bruce, you were going to say something? Eric.
I think that was maybe another issue that I had with it, was the cultural differences. You know, there's stuff that happens in that area of the world that I'm just not familiar with. And so I wonder how much of that is like, if you're from that part, maybe you watch it. I mean, we've talked about the antlers in Undine, and not that there's a monster in this one, but you know, there's still the cultural things that when you watch movies from different countries, inherently there's going to be that bit that doesn't cross. And I wonder how much of that just didn't come through with me, perhaps. If that's the case, that's on me. That's not on the movie.
No.
But yeah, I just think there's certain parts, and the couple of parts that you mentioned, I think could have hit me more emotionally. But when they happened, like, I knew that like she was frustrated or angry. I wasn't sure that the moments, they weren't earned from me, because I wasn't on that journey with her.
Yeah.
Maybe because she internalized stuff so much, and I just wasn't locked in like you and Bruce were. And that's a problem on me as well.
No, that's good. It's good that we have these different reactions. Bruce, I agree with you there. I think the fact that it didn't go a certain way, again, that way, Eric's way would have worked as well, would have been a movie that actually in many ways would have stood out more as a film to a lot of people. But some of the stuff, the way it's played out in this movie in a very subtle fashion, and it's so internal, some people will get very, not just triggered, but really hurt and moved and all that stuff. It'll just, this one gets you. This is actually, I'll be honest, this is at least a top 20 for me, maybe top 15, maybe top 10. I'm thinking top 10 for me for Hive. I just appreciated this naturalistic take. I'm not going to see a movie like this. Maybe we have a couple more months to go before the year ends. I'd like to see a movie that's kind of like this, but I don't think anything's going to compare. Like Hive and Mass, all of these movies are really, Mass. I don't think I'm trying to remember. Mass, you were not Mass, Bruce. Me and Eric love Mass. Me and Eric were behind Mass. Anyways,
I'm definitely I'm in the minority on that one for sure.
With something like Mass, the reason I glommed onto it so much is that it's not subtle. It's here's what it is. Everything's out on the table. Everyone's expressing how they feel about certain things. And so it's just easier for me to follow. This movie's too smart for me, for my dumb brain.
No. Again, Virtual Cinemas December 3rd out in LA, which it's out in LA this Friday, November 12th. You're going to be hearing more. Hopefully you're going to be hearing a lot more from Hive, especially it's the Kosovo's entry as far as international cinema for the Academy Awards. Okay. So it should be interesting to see if it actually makes the final cut.